and consistently still does his own thing, and was able to retire and just like, you know, keeps making his own content from afar, right? Does that make sense? Anyway, from a business perspective, if you wanted to expand sustainably without creating dependency, you can create new pods or channels with others helming that you could break off if you get burnt out on it. If you're trying to explain the position of CEO, sure. Admit it, you like PewDiePie because he's ripped and hot. I think PewDiePie being ripped and hot plays a role in my assessment. I will admit this. It's hard for me to, you know, sit here and lie to you and act like that does not play a role. It certainly does play a role, okay? Fuck. Anyway,
That's where I'm kind of at, or have been at.
I feel like everything online is slowly converging towards a boring, bland, gray middle point where everyone just tries to maximize retention, views, and this metric and that statistic, which just leads everyone to like the same end product, and it's become beyond saturated. For me and my own creativity, I just don't enjoy where this is going.
So, creativity and homogenization. This is another challenge under capitalism. We are all unwilling subjects of the profit motive. YouTube is an inherently creative job. You're producing art or content or entertainment or whatever you want to call it, but your base consideration has to be financial stability. There's a reason most YouTubers don't do it full time, and those that do have to supplement their income with Patreon, link below, please, love of God, link below, or sponsorships, or sell.
What you were describing by talking about sustainability is actually what some old small business owner right winger actually want, but are too dumb to understand it. Yeah, I think so.
Selling LUT packs or
like doing this makes me happy. Okay. You know what wouldn't make me happy if I was doing other shit? Growth would require me to do other shit. Specifically, managing others, managing their behavior, managing like my expectations from them. I don't want to do that. That's a totally different thing that I'm not good at. That's why I would always laugh at people when they were like, hey, Hassan, why don't you build a cooperative? Which I, of course, ironically ended up building, by the way. And those guys didn't shut the fuck up about it. They're like, oh, you claim to be a socialist, but here you are not building a cooperative. I did. And now they're still fucking chirping. Turns out, guys, their commentary did not revolve around like holding me to account to maintain an ethical business. Okay?
Online classes. When you're doing YouTube as a side project, you can afford to make the videos you want. But when this is your full-time gig, like it is for people making these goodbye videos, your art has to take a back seat to putting food on the table. That's a tough pill to swallow for people who are genuinely invested in creating artistic or thoughtful things for their audience to enjoy. No one starts out making money on YouTube. It is always first a labor of love. But as soon as your channel gets verified, the calculus changes. Now you have to figure out, okay, do I want to keep this as a side project, or do I want to build this into something that can pay the bills? And even if you decide on the former, sometimes your channel will grow and become financially stable anyway. And then it's really hard to turn down leaving your dead-end job to focus more on the work you enjoy, which then becomes a job, which then requires you to play by the rules of the YouTube game to continue growing, staying relevant, and making a living. It's the trap pretty much every successful channel falls into. But there's another aspect of creativity under capitalism that's worth exploring. There's this concept called enshittification, sometimes called platform decay, coined by writer Cory Doctorow in November of 2020.
Good faith question. Why can't these YouTubers hire more staff to help them? Money, complexity. I think they already have. I low-key, or I guess not low-key, but high-key think that the reason why they're quitting is because they have hired more staff. And the dynamic of their content creation has shifted away from being a pure content creator and doing it for fun to a manager, a business owner, a CEO, if you will. And that shit's boring as hell. Okay? Now, of course, that's me. That's my assessment on it. I might be totally off base here. Okay? I might be completely wrong. Well, they're getting paid for it. No, I know. The difference, by the way, the difference is like these guys have the opportunity to be able to like publicly quit. Do you see what I'm saying? Like quit and still make money. They're just informing their audience that like they're going to take a back seat and they don't want to like keep being the face of the product. You know what I mean? Are you not afraid of not growing in some ways that will make your project fizzle out? Not really. I don't know. I have the capacity to adapt to my circumstances. I think that like, you know, the numbers that I'm at right now, 21,000, are actually around 10K lower than where I was for the past couple of years at this point. My average was around 30K. Now my average is around 20K. Back in the day, this would have like absolutely wrecked me, destroyed my brain. I would have been so sad. And at first I was actually upset about it, but I adapted. You know what I mean? That's it. It's like, it's my mentality. Your numbers increase a lot during election time. No. And people say, oh, it's election time. It'll be better, buddy. I promise, like blah, blah, blah. It's like, it doesn't even matter. It don't even matter. Right. It's just like the election season is very boring, and it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be the way that people think it is. How does 30K versus 20K factor in total unique viewers, not just concurrence? People are growing older and getting into more demanding jobs. Yes, I think like part of the reason why my numbers have gotten smaller this past year is because one, election cycle, boring, nobody cares. Two, people don't really watch as much. Like people don't watch streamers as much as they used to, obviously. And last but not least, one of the more important factors is that people get older, they cycle out. A lot of people do stay because of the nature of the content that I make. But if you don't have a steady supply of newcomers to the fold that you're bringing in through collaborations and other things, your audience is going to inevitably burn out as well. This is like burnout is not just on the Twitch streaming side. Even the Twitch watchers burn out usually. Sometimes they go to other content creators, or sometimes they just leave the platform altogether inevitably, right? And I think that one way to obviously get ahead of that would be by making more content on other avenues like YouTube and TikTok and whatnot, which is why you see a lot of the growth on this platform. The new content creators on this platform are those who have popped off big time on YouTube Shorts, like that pirate guy, or those who have popped off big time on TikTok, like Handsome Fella, Jinxie, KCO, these guys, Kai even. Like these are people that have a steady flow of like constantly reminding people like, I'm here, I'm live, this is what I'm doing. Isn't that crazy? And I think that's what it is. The pirate software guy, yeah. I think that's where it comes from.
22. Enshittification refers to the tendency of online platforms like Amazon, Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, and YouTube to act as a predatory, two-sided market. Here's how Doctorow describes the process. Here is how platforms die. First, they are good to their users. Then, they abuse their users to make things better for their business customers. Finally, they abuse those business customers to claw back all the value for.
So you're saying you turn from a political streamer to a variety streamer as it doesn't matter? What? No, I was always a variety streamer. What I'm saying is when I get burned out of like the consistent politics, when it like starts impacting me, I can always like tune my content to, I can always tune my content back to like more fun shit.
For themselves. Then they die. I call this enshittification, and it's a seemingly inevitable consequence arising from the combination of the ease of changing how a platform allocates value, combined with the nature.
Think about it this way. I started the process today, and there were dudes immediately coming in and going, dude, you have to talk about Israel. Israel went into a hospital in Jenin. Israel went into a hospital in Jenin. You have to talk about it. I said, no. I put my foot down, and I said, this is what I want to do first, and then I'll eventually get to it, right? Which I will. But I think this like that's something to understand. Like this shit is boring as hell. All right. Well, sorry, Vinny Kitty. I know you're a 21-month subscriber. Of course, your brain is permanently broken. You want content, you want politics, and you want it now. I get it. But you know, I will get to it.
Of a two-sided market, where a platform sits between buyers and sellers, hold each hostage to the other, raking off an ever larger share of the value that passes between them. The internet is full of examples of this form of decay. Google search used to simply return results to the best of its ability based on the parameters you gave it. Now the whole first page of results is ads and websites full of articles that are 90% SEO phrases. Amazon.
Yeah, this part is really bad. This is like the dead. This is, I think, the most prescient part of the dead internet theory is that it's just like we have found out ways of manipulating parts of the internet that simply used to work and now not so much, right? Like, kind of doesn't work, and it has made everything just worse overall.
Amazon shows you a dozen sponsored items before you get to the real results. TikTok and Instagram are specifically tailored to keep you scrolling and consuming. YouTube is a prime example of this form of decay. First, it was a place for normal people to publish silly videos. Then it attracted investment and advertisers. Then it changed how the platform works to maximize revenue generation and encourage content that plays by those rules. And now it's running an ad block blocker to really crack down on any lost revenue and force people to pay for YouTube Premium to stop the incessant advertising. And none of this is evil. It's just the logical conclusion of a neoliberal capitalist system. Every platform is a market, everything must have a dollar value attached, and consumption is a lifestyle. So it's no surprise that big channels that have grown with the platform are noticing this trend and are disgusted by it. There's no room for creativity when everything has
I feel like a lot of libs showed their ass and stopped watching you because of the Palestine genocide. Yeah, sure.
to be scripted,
That's
edited,
a part
and
of it
presented for attention above all else. That's how we ended up with Mr. Beast. He plays the game perfectly, and his videos are disgusting and devoid of any actual value beyond being used as slop for the content trough. And hey, look, no hate for people who just want to watch Mr. Beast run some deranged game show. That's your prerogative. But for the people who started out making beautiful things for the sake of making beautiful things, this trend of enshittification is really disheartening. And kind of along those lines is the alienation aspect of all this. At the end of the day, it's you against the all-consuming maw of the internet. YouTube is still such a niche career that there are so incredibly few people who actually understand what it's like to do this. It's lonely, it's stressful, it's scary. Strip away all the frills, and at its core, YouTube is an altar on which you lay yourself at the mercy of a billion people. You play for the crowd. You make a spectacle.
How does Mr. Beast not get burned out? Dude, I think he's a freak too. Like, you know how I'm a freak and I find a lot of emotional fulfillment from what I do? I think he's a freak in the way that he finds a lot of emotional fulfillment from what he does as well. Because it makes no goddamn sense. But he's also very young too. You're right. You're right. M. Hood's right. He is very young. Something we forget about Mr. Beast is that he's literally like 24 or something. Like, he's crazy young.
Of yourself. You know there are buzzards out there waiting to turn your next video into drama content. You know who you are. You are at the center
Damn.
to do this. It's lonely. It's stressful. It's scary. Strip away all the frills, and at its core, YouTube is an altar on which you lay yourself at the mercy of a billion people. You play for the crowd. You make a spectacle of yourself. You know there are buzzards out there waiting to turn your next video into drama content. You know who
He's right.
you are. You are at the center of hundreds, thousands, millions of views, and yet you're completely alone. None of these people know you. None of them see the work that goes on behind the scenes. It's you and your camera and your laptop. That's not how humans were meant to function.
Yeah, Mr. Beast is like one of the unique people that, like, I think genuinely enjoys the growth and the business aspect of what he does. That's what I meant when I said he gets emotional fulfillment out of what he's doing. Does that make sense? You guys understand? Not a lot of motherfuckers are like that, okay? Especially in the YouTube space. He does. I get a lot of emotional. He is like pure distillation of like capitalism for the sake of capitalism. Like, he just likes it. He enjoys it. Look, for me, number go up is good. Okay, getting showered with praise, great. Of course, that feels good. But overall, the major component here that offers me emotional fulfillment, that I derive a lot of emotional fulfillment out of, is the fact that I feel like I'm doing something that is worth a damn. Okay, I feel like if I change one person's mind, if I can get one more person to be charitable to like trans people, even though they were originally transphobic, like, that's my goal. That's what I do. And that's what I do well. If I can get one person that is like super rad libby, for example, that turns around and is like no longer as aggressive. Okay? No longer as like aggro and uncharitable in the way that they analyze other people. Okay, then that's the good thing. That's what I want to do. I want to like soften people's edges a little bit on that front. And there are versions of the types of people that I've mentioned in this community. There are people who were like probably major rad libs originally, and they have grown to become more charitable over time to others who are on their own unique and personal journey. And there are certainly a shit ton of people who used to be very edgy and very ignorant and bigoted and oblivious to the realities of the world, and have grown to empathize with plenty of marginalized communities and now defend them. That is my goal. Okay? That gives me a shit ton of emotional fulfillment. When I went to Austin and that dude that showed up with the DSA badge. He's in the chat somewhere, I assume. The dude was like, "Look, he's a union worker. He joined a union. He joined the DSA. Like, that's huge, okay? And there are plenty people like that in this community, okay? That's why I do what I do, and that's what reminds me of when I meet people like that in the meat space. That's what reminds me of the fact that, like, what I do kind of matters a little bit. I was Albanian, and you made me realize I was Turkish. Yes, good.
These large channels face alienation to some extent. They often grow beyond the capabilities of one person, and that person then relinquishes creative control of the content in order to run the business side of things, separated from their own art for the sake of playing the profit-driven YouTube game. Speaking of profit and big channels, there's one more thing we need to consider.
I should have just done this as a live stream and uploaded it to Captain Sparkles too. Speaking of, no changes planned for live streaming and the VOD uploads on the second channel. That's business as usual.
I have like another channel called Papa Meat that's doing really well. And if you haven't heard of that, feel free to check it out. We post like every 3 days, but that's becoming more of like my money maker actual job thing now.
This probably isn't goodbye, like not forever. The podcaster host, Lateral, is still going out weekly. My newsletter's still going out. The Plus channel will probably return at some point. There'll likely be new technical difficulties episodes.
I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be alongside the creative directors talking about programming, brainstorming ideas for upcoming episodes. That's awesome. I love that. I don't want to give that up. But the other cool thing about this is that it opens up the door for me to turn the script. For the last 13 years, I've been commenting on other people's IP, but now that I'm stepping out of those roles, I get to create the IP.
Here's the part that no one that I've seen has really talked
text me, I'll
about.
go back.
The one big thing to realize is that most of these people aren't quitting being creative. Just about all of them have other outlets for that, whether it's a second channel or a podcast or some other avenue. They're just stepping away from the horrible grind that full-time YouTube has become. And this isn't me saying, aha, you're not really quitting. That couldn't be further from the truth. I'm genuinely really happy for these people because I recognize that in the near future, I'm going to be in the same boat.
It's pretty funny though that like like YouTubers, I'm just comparing it to like what I do, and it's like YouTubers are like, yeah, we used to make like 1 video a month, or we used to make like 4 videos a month, and now I'm gonna only make 1 video a month. I'm like, damn dog, like it's like maybe like I'm retiring.
Check.
I mean, if I was making 1 video a month, that would be my retirement, I think, or 4 videos a month, that would be my retirement. Like genuinely.
Play Rick D7.
I've been running Second Thought for 8 years. It's gone through a couple different iterations, but I've never missed an upload in that time.
I'm threatening Rick
and I'm
A7.
tired too. If you think about it, what's the point of YouTube? What's the bottom line in 2024? More views.
I no longer respect Second Thought after this video. Totally hypocritical and disingenuous to his message. Wait, what? Yeah, you're right. I think you should write him off. Dude's been making like banger pro-socialist content for like 8 years, but I think you should absolutely drop him. I'm dropping him too. Okay, I'm dropping him. It's over, dude. I bet you he's not even subscribed to Avoid the Top of the Hour ad break. Okay, I bet you it's over. It's done. Okay, it's done. It's over. That's right. If you come at me like that with some fucking bullshit, try to debate me to get me to, look at what you are saying, so that you can try and fucking sneak in a little ad break there, I will steal that from you. Just like you should steal your wife's boyfriend's Amazon Prime account and connect it to your Twitch account so you can get 1 free Prime subscription a month. Calm like a Tom. Thank you for the 10 gifted Lily Chaos God. Thank you for the 5 gifted Emma. I think if most big YouTubers who don't stream had to sit in front of 20K people for 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, and reply to mostly just the mean ones, they would genuinely kill themselves after a little while, or at least want to. I think most people would do that. Not just like YouTubers in general. How often do you stare into the retirement of Biz? No, man, I hate this. The thing is, guys, I just described it to you. If I hold up my trips that I've taken over this past couple of years, right? My favorite trips were Japan. Why? Because I got to experience Japan. I got to do a shit ton of cool stuff. And I got to actually film a lot of it, okay? I went with my friends who also are content creators as well. And we went and we made fucking awesome content. It was sick, okay? It was incredible. As opposed to like a situation where I had no obligations whatsoever, technically, when I went to Italy with my family. Okay? That I did not enjoy at all. To me, work doesn't feel like work. To me, work makes me feel good.
Views, more money,
Check.
more recognition. The information you're trying to get across, the message you want to send, that takes a back seat. I know a whole lot of channels in the education niche
No,
that
this is
transition
Josh.
from
I'm
making
telling you how
videos
these
they think are interesting to making videos they think will perform well. And when that works,
Check.
scale up.
I guess.
You hire a couple people, then some more. And then suddenly you're Linus Tech Tips with an army of employees, and now you're just running a business.
Okay, bud. Anyone here can
Check.
sit in front of a bunch of jabronis and run ad breaks at the top of the hour all day. Come on, true.
Oh, because it was check.
Okay, so why not stop? It's one thing to step
Aye.
back from gaming content or infotainment or gear reviews, but it's a bit more challenging when
Check.
you're making ideological content. Yes, obviously everything is ideological, but you know what I mean. I make content designed to get people interested in socialist ideas. My main objective is to get people over that initial hurdle of socialism
That's
bad
right.
and funnel them into organizations to help build class consciousness and dual power. Not to pat myself on the back, but I think I do a pretty good job of that. I've gotten a bunch of really nice messages over the last few years from people who have gotten involved in organizing because of my videos.
So you can't bring the
Yeah,
Rook
it's
over.
Really hard to justify stepping away from that.
Or you can't bring the King
I'm
over.
not under any illusion that my channel is the
Check.
only thing driving Western viewers to get organized. There are so many fantastic channels that do excellent work. But for better or for worse, Second Thought is the largest channel in this niche, which means I have at least...
Excuse me. Hello? That's, dude. Excuse me. Sorry, what? I guess he just means like in the YouTube. I guess he means YouTube, right? And not live streaming, I assume, you know.
somewhat of an
that's
obligation
funny.
to keep doing this work. And don't worry, if all this sounds like I'm quitting, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just thinking out loud.
So yes,
I mean, I don't know why Pokimane is quitting Twitch, but it seems like she's quitting. The end of an era. Twitch has been my home for a decade. But it's time to say thank you for all the memories and love during my League, Fortnite, and Among Us days. Okay? Don't know what this means. I texted her. She did not respond.
Check.
It's not like she's fucking streaming on Twitch right now. So she probably has spare time to reply, but she's choosing not to. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. But I suspect they should probably... Pokey seems like she's quitting streaming altogether. Yeah. I feel like she's probably not going to go to a different platform to stream. I think she's probably not streaming anymore. And it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense because a lot of people don't really understand this, especially if you're just like kind of watching from afar. People think like Twitch streaming is glitz and glamour and like an endless sea of like $100 million contracts that people are giving you and showering you with praises as you
Check.
just, like sit there and watch other people's like hard worked YouTube content and offer zero commentary
What?
over it.
Yeah.
And while the second part is true, I think what a lot of people don't recognize is that
Check.
Twitch streaming has all of those components. That much is true, okay? But then it's also
Oh,
a sequence of just like having to withstand endless amounts of cyber stalking and cyber harassment. So, if you ask any other content creator
Yeah,
that
B51.
has like
Check.
dipped their
Check. I didn't
toes
see that,
into
man.
streaming of any sort, okay,
I was looking
they
at
will most
this.
likely tell you. I'm sure that there are
This looks
you are
trash.
being directly, literally harassed by people all day. Yes.
But-
So
Check.
This
So
looks
I
funny.
suspect that that might play a role in this decision. I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for her. I'm sure she will explain it herself. But it's not just that Twitch is the most parasocial site. Hassan Live is hard.
Yeah.
No, I'm a very fortunate person.
GG.
But